Anita's Corner again.
Hey.
You'd like to say a few words about House Bill 34, sponsored by State Representative Jesse Petrea?
Yep. Okay, it's the Parole Reform and Transparency Act. Along with Petrea is also Bill Hitchens and Ron Stevens. The basis of this bill is that when you've served your sentence, imagine for a moment now, you've served your sentence, you're ready for release, you have been cleared for release, you're ready to go. Well, this bill would allow for the parole board, the prison system, to contact the city you're moving to and ask if they are willing for you to come back. And if the township were to say no, if Savannah were to make that decision for you and say no, you couldn't return here. As a matter of fact, if no township said no or said yes, you would have absolutely nowhere to go. And so this bothers me on several levels. And the first one is, if you've served your time, if you've done what's proper under the legal code, then why are you being punished further? This is like saying that you should get another sentence added for no reason. People seem to forget that once you've been in prison and you've served your time, you're done. You've fulfilled your side of that obligation. And they have no right now to come in there and make you do more for that sentence. So that bothers me. The next thing that bothers me is, say you wanted to come back to Savannah because this is where your mother lives, this is where your father is, this is where your wife and your children are, or your husband and your children are. You want to return here and you're told, no, you can't. You can't come back with friends and family because we don't want you here. What are you supposed to do? So they say, well, okay, yeah, you can come to Atlanta. We don't care. You don't know anybody there. It's hard enough to make that transition from prison to the outside without being thrown under the bus. And that's what you're doing. You're saying, we don't care if you're going to try to turn your life around. You don't matter. It doesn't matter that we're ripping you away from your family, from your friends, because you don't count. So the very final thing that bothers me is that we as citizens will very easily do this. We'll say, yeah, but they're criminals. You know what? Have you ever jaywalked across the street? Have you ever schmoozed through a stop sign without completely stopping? Look, we all commit little crimes all day long. There's a criminal bit to all of us. None of us is perfect, so these people have committed maybe a bigger one. Maybe not even all that big. Maybe they were smoking dope with friends.
It's 90%, and we're talking about Georgia here.
Yeah.
And 90% of
Are
people who are
victimless.
incarcerated are not violent offender.
And they're for victimless crimes like drugs.
Yep, exactly.
And so anyway, beyond that though is the fact, if you're willing to give up someone else's rights, did you ever consider that maybe there's other people willing to take away your rights?
Amen.
The moment we start taking people's rights away from them, yeah, it just might turn out that people are going to take your rights. And so I think we ought to think a little more clearly about whipping away rights from people just because they aren't the perfect image of who we think people should be. And I found very often that the people most hostile about that are the most criminal. So let's, not encourage this. JJ is going to put up the information on how to contact the offices.
I think Representative Petrea needs to feel the love. And
they need to hear.
And if you don't live in Georgia, this still concerns you folks. If you live in Maine, if you live in California and Hawaii, that still concerns you. We need to pull all together and make that phone ring.
These are the great ideas our legislators are coming up with lately. And, you know, we need to start treating people humanely, not like animals. We need to get out of this punishment mode in this law and order, and start looking at reform.
Amen.
And you know, bringing the society not together, or together.
And what
not
would
tearing it
Jesus do?
apart. Yeah, what would Jesus do? So let's get on it. Let's talk to our legislators and say, stop this BS. Let's start treating people like people.
Yes, indeed. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Anita.
You're